Hey, and welcome back to the podcast. We're here with Khalid Saleh, who is the founder of FigPii, which is a user insights platform that will help improve your site conversion rate, help with A/B testing, experimentation, and so on. So we're going to find out why we need to be using this wonderful tool and what it does and how it stands out. So Khalid, glad to be speaking with you.
Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be talking with you as well.
Excited to be speaking with you as in addition, because like this whole idea of split testing, it's one of those things where people always talk about it, but then so few people do it. And I miss the good old days of Google. Google used to have some kind of tool that made it really easy, right? They'd say, paste this on this page, that on that page, and it would give you the graph and it could split test and it would show you if like when the graphs diverge. And I miss having a tool like that. And there's so many times when I have a landing page, I have a blog, and I'm like, I wish I could just like run one of those tests. And so is your tool finally the solution to getting back to those good old days?
That's exactly how the tool was born. So it's funny you mentioned this. So I'll take you back in a historical journey. So we've started as an agency trying to help companies improve their site conversion rates. Split testing, hey, is this the best landing page or can we improve upon it? Well, let's test, let's change a headline, let's change an image. And Google, back in 2008, had this tool that's called Google Website Optimizer. And we're like, oh, this is absolutely amazing. We don't have to build the technology. We don't have to build software. So we started using it and it was absolutely amazing. And I think really that tool is what helped people over the years jump into split testing because it was available, free, so easy to use. I still remember back in 2011, all of a sudden, we signed a whole bunch of big accounts. And it was sort of funny because we're excited, like when you run an agency, you just want to have a big account. And I get an email from Google saying their Google Website Optimizer will be sunsetting. And I'm like, what? What do you mean sunsetting? They're like, yeah, it's going to be gone next week. And I'm like, no way. We just signed up all these clients. What do we do? So long story short, that's really how FigPii was born. But back in 2015, Google put out a new tool as well, Google Optimize, to help you again create split tests and do A/B testing. And I'm like, oh God, after we built FigPii, and here is Google Optimize. Again, doing the same thing, making life easier for people. I'm like, okay, it's fine. At least people are getting educated about split testing. Well, Google in its infinite wisdom, and I'm very grateful, to Google, January of 2023, they said, well, we're killing Google Optimize. And I'm like, really? Again, you're killing it? But thank you. Okay, so, I was talking to the marketing team at FigPii, and I told them, we could have done a million things, but the fact that Google Optimize is gone, and at this point is completely gone, I'm like, this is the best marketing opportunity you get to FigPii because people are already aware of split testing and they're looking for the tool, and we have the tool. Websites have been using it for the last few years. So it's just absolutely amazing.
And when Google pulls out the rug from under us for the second time, when will we ever learn that you can go to the tool that still has it in place? And so if someone doesn't do split testing, or maybe they've heard of it, but they don't take it seriously enough, can you catch us up? Can you explain us really quickly if someone's like surfing the podcast or the YouTube and they're like, okay, A/B testing, split testing, and using this tool, can you give us like the Cliff's Notes, the condensed version? That way people can jump into it and get excited?
Sure. So let's say you have a website. Your goal from the website, let's say you're a business, and if you're an e-commerce, you want to sell people something. Or if you have a website and you're trying to collect leads from the website. So let's say, just for the sake of explanation, you're focused on your homepage. You have the homepage, you have some headline in it, you have some images, you have a contact form, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, so I have about 10,000 visitors who come to this homepage. And of those 10,000, maybe 100 people contact me. Okay, how can I actually improve the conversion rate? So typically what you do is you'll say, well, maybe there's a problem with the headline. Maybe I can improve the headline. Or maybe there's a problem with the image. I can use a different image. This image is stock photo. I can actually use an image of myself. Maybe that will appeal to people a little bit more. But you don't know, correct? You're just putting lots of maybes over there. So what you do is you use an A/B testing tool, FigPii in this case, and you'll say, you know what, let's create a new version of the page. I'm going to create a new headline and I'm going to use my image. And then since I have 10,000 people coming to the website, the tool is going to split those visitors. 5,000 are going to see the old design, with the old headline and the old stock photo. And 5,000 will see the new version of the page that has the new headline and my beautiful photo. And then I'm going to compare the number of contacts that I get. Well, 5,050 of them contacted me using the old design. 5,000 visitors came to the new page and 100 of them contacted me. Oh, okay. So we have a winning design over here. So you're really, what an A/B testing tool allows you to do is create all these different versions of a page, test them, and really allow your visitors to tell you which version works better for them through actually converting. If you get 100 conversions versus 50, I definitely would want to go with that version of the page. And that is what A/B testing, split testing is all about.
I love it. Wonderful explanation. And you're calling to mind a lot of just harsh but valid marketing truths that we'd all love. We look at a web page and we say, "Oh man, I love my own site so much. How it's going to convert so well." And then maybe when I was like 19 or 20 years old, I had this huge giant logo on a web page, and I thought, and this is around when there was like some of these Google tools. I was like, let me try a way smaller logo, and the conversion rate went up. And I was like, let me try no logo, and the conversion rate went up. I was like, I have this option form, and I was like, let me try with video versus no video. And it's just like a 2-minute video saying you should sign up and get this tool. And I took out the video, and the conversion rates went up. And so many different times like that of like, I had a landing page that converted at 1%. I took out like the first 3 words and it shot up to 4%. So all these kind of counterintuitive things where like you wouldn't think this change would make a difference, or you're like, I personally like the way this looks, and then you try it and people vote with their wallets or vote with their conversions, and then it surprises you. And so I'm sure you have some fun stories like that, right? I mean, do you have some things like that where you use this tool, you tried the A/B test, and something just kind of blew you away by like making this change just made such a difference?
So I'll tell you, the process of A/B testing, I always tell people, is very humbling, because you think to yourself, I've created a new design. This looks so much better. And then you say, well, let's test it out. Let's see if people like the old design versus the new design. And then you're just surprised, like, really, people, you like the old design better? I mean, I've put so much work into it. So we work with there's lots of e-commerce companies that use FigPii. And one of the things I always tell e-commerce companies, and it's funny because I've said this at so many conferences wherever I speak, I tell them, listen, why do you have the add to cart button on your category pages? People don't add items to the cart from the category page, correct? You want to, category page, you show me a whole bunch of products. I click on one of them and I go and I read about the product and I'm still not sure. I go back to the category page. I click on another product. So really people, rely on the product pages to really click on the add to cart. And every time I tell people, remove that add to cart in the category page, I can guarantee you that's an A/B test that's going to win. Well, we have this large retailer. They said, okay, Khalid, it sounds like you know what you're doing. How about we A/B test it? And I'm like, we've seen this A/B test run so many times before. I am sure it's going to win and I'm going to look really good in front of people. They run the test and it completely loses. And I'm like, what? People are actually clicking on the add to cart from the category page? And they're like, yes, they are. And the fact that we removed that add to cart from the category page, our sales dropped by about 15%. And I'm like, whoa, what happened there? Now, this is a website, electronics websites in the Netherlands. And I guess people there love to click on the add to cart from the category page. I'm like, okay, I've learned something new. It's a little bit different. And it's funny, the next conference I spoke at, I'm like, guys, I've always said this, but I've learned, to eat my words, and I've made a mistake. It's actually, you need to test it out and you let your visitors be the judge of what works for them and what doesn't work for them. I'll tell you a different story. And it's funny because every marketing guy gets hired. What's the first thing that they want to do on a website? Let's redesign it. It doesn't look good because, you want to leave your stamp on the website. It's like, hey, I'm the marketing guy. And it's amazing to me. Microsoft actually just came out with a paper because Microsoft is constantly redesigning. They're like, every time we redesign, or we think we're doing better, the website conversion rate drops by anywhere 10 to 20%. So I always tell people, I'm like, test it out and make sure that you compare. I know the new design looks so much better, but you know what? People are really funny. We are creatures of habits. We like old designs, clunky designs, because we got used to them. And although you fixed so many problems for us in the new design, we still like the old design. So that's the reason you want to test things out and learn really based on how people interact with your website of okay, so which design we need to go with.
Wonderful. So it's very humbling as far as changing these things. And there's like they say trust but verify, right? Where there's the best practices and there's what you should do to kind of get something in place in order to get the problem solved, get the job done. But then once you have all the fundamentals, then you can start measuring these things. And then that way you're not killing your own business. And you're so right that if there's any kind of site that I use on a regular basis, like if Facebook changes their shade of green, I'm so mad for like a week. If YouTube moves some buttons across the screen, I just because it's just because they changed it and it's like a little bit of a awkward, like makes my brain think. I hate it just because it's different, even though I use it for several weeks and it might be better. And so what's great about this whole concept of the A/B testing and, measuring and tracking is that you always have a winning website, right? That you have like the A and the B. And you said that, so many times what you had in place beats what you experiment with. But even if that happens, you still have like the number one top winner. And on the off chance that the B version does 1% or 2% better, then you're just kind of always getting better and better. And so this is something that we need to be looking at and using. And so, you mentioned a little bit about like these industries that use it, right? Like there's like e-commerce and electronics. Like, is there like places where it should be used and shouldn't be used? Like, is it great for landing pages, but not great for like blogs, or like, where's it good? Where's it not good?
So I have seen A/B testing used across so many different industries. I always tell people, I'm like, look at your website, look at your pages. A blog is a perfect example. Look at an e-commerce site, a lead gen type website, a SaaS website. When you look at a particular page, do you have a specific action that you want people to take on the page? In a lead gen type website, well, I want them to fill out that form. In a blog, maybe I want them to navigate to read another post, correct? Maybe I want them to spend a little bit more time on my site. In an e-commerce website, I want them to click on that to cart. So you can, as long as you can define a clear action, okay, so we want people to do this on this page, I can create an A/B test and see which design that I have will actually increase the percentage of people that are doing that action. Lots of times people ask me, is like, hey, well, it's funny, like the most common question that I hear, what's the average site conversion rate? And I laugh. I'm like, oh man. Sometimes we work with companies and they come and they are using FigPii and they're sister companies. It's funny. Like we have two companies, sister companies, both in furniture. Almost the same site design. One of them has a conversion rate of 6%. One of them has a conversion rate of 1.5%. What is the difference? Well, maybe they're in their targeting and their marketing. It doesn't matter what the average site conversion rate. What you're trying to do is always, like you said, we're trying to improve it. We're always trying to improve and do better year over year, month over month, year over year.
Wonderful. It's kind of like it's almost like a life lesson, right? Like, don't compare yourself to others. Just the only person you should be trying to beat is yourself. And the same is true with your website. And I love that mentality there of thinking, okay, well, in any kind of web page, no matter what it is, what's the goal? What's the action I want them to take? And it's easy to say, oh, well, landing page, sure, I want them to sign up. But if a blog, I'm not really sure. Well, and you say, well, figure out a goal. Figure out if the goal is, if they read the blog post, then maybe there's some link to some suggested post, or, sometimes I'll be like on mobile and I'll be scrolling through and I'll say, oh, and now I'm reading a second post, right? You finish reading blog post number 1, and next thing you know, I'm seeing some other headline, some other thing, and like they kind of fool me a little bit because now I'm reading the next kind of thing. And so that's great to think about, is what is the goal that I want someone to take? And so, we're talking about some of these big ideas, right? Like if someone says, well, I want to redo the layout of my site and I want to completely change all the interface. Some people might say that's kind of like scary or a lot that's involved. So do you come across those sort of like barriers or objections? Does someone say, well, I know I should be A/B split testing, but I'm worried about it messing up my current system or about like the technical difficulty. So what do you have to say about someone that says like the technical aspect might be a barrier?
So I always tell people, learn to crawl before you walk, learn to walk before you run. Sometimes people come and they ask us like, oh, well, we're going to have to change this and we have to think about the technical architecture. And I'm like, no, well, let's slow down. How many A/B tests you've launched in the last year or two? They're like, oh, nothing. I'm like, okay, let's start slow. Don't go really big Eventually you will, but let's start small. Maybe we just want to test different headlines. Maybe we just want to test different images. Maybe we already have a page, our homepage or landing page designed, and we're just going to change the location of different sections. Maybe we're going to add some social proof. I'm like, start small. And that's what you want to do for the first 6 months. You start, and as you are running through those small tests, you'll get more and more ideas. And as you see winning tests, it's like, oh my gosh, we managed to increase conversion rates by 10%, by 15%, by 20%. Guess what? That whole plethora of questions that like, oh, it's going to be complicated, and is it going to be scary or not? It doesn't matter, because you have enough data in your hands to say, you know what? Yeah, we do want to go into bigger tests, but don't start with big tests, because some of those big tests are complicated. I remember one bank decided to use FigPii. And I'm like, okay, guys, there's just so many things that you can test. And they're an online banking service. And they said, you know what? We are going to start by testing the funnel where people sign up and create their bank accounts. Now, mind you, it's banking service, financial service, and it's fairly complicated because highly secure. And then they tried to do the code, and it took them like almost 3 months to test it out. And I'm like, guys, 3 months to run an A/B test. How about if we had just changed the headline on the homepage or on the landing page? Get people excited, show them that there's actually improvements. And the minute people start seeing improvements and they start seeing, increases in conversion rates, guess what? Everybody's excited. Everybody's thinking to themselves, hey, how about we test this? How about we test that? The perfect example I have is GoDaddy. Their CEO, and this is a friend who works in the company, he said, you know what? The CEO has a meeting every month with the whole marketing team, and he tells them, what are we testing this month? And every one of them will give an idea. And then the next month they'll come and they'll present. It's like, hey, we tested it. This worked. This did not work. And they have a full discussion for 4 or 5 hours, like one day a month, where they're discussing all these concepts. What won? What lost? What are we learning? How are we doing?
That's a lot of fun to think about. Is that like, what are you testing this month? And we don't have to get crazy. Like, you hear about the stories like, one time Google split tested like 52 different shades of blue on their landing page. Like, that seems like a Google level of like godlike testing. But you're saying that the usage is more important than the knowledge, right? That like, and I mean, even like, you do your speaking at events. I'm sure like the first several times you were probably like thinking like, oh, I'm doing such a terrible job at speaking, but you were actually taking action. And there's probably hundreds of people out there who are, if not more, who are like the armchair quarterbacks who are afraid to even do like one speaking gig. And they're just like studying, learning. And it's really easy to self-sabotage in that way, whether it's like taking action on something or just like implementing a piece of software. It's so easy to think too big and to just be too academic or too intelligent or too something versus just getting messy early, trying it out, having a quick win, seeing some results, and then being excited to use it again, knowing that it's massive imperfect action all along the way. So that's wonderful to think about in the context of using your tool, but also in taking some action. And so in our last 5 minutes or so of our conversation here, Khalid, we've talked about some of these kind of marketing tasks that we should do. And you've hinted a little bit about some of your adventures and some of your like networking and things like that. So in your entrepreneurial journey and your kind of personal development journey, all these things, do you have anything to share with us just about your own growth or your own struggles or your own accomplishments? What comes to mind?
It's funny because I think it's when you struggle. I mean, I remember in a previous life, I used to be a software architect. Steady salary that comes to me at the end of the month. We're happy, we're like, oh, good. Like, we're doing really well. And of course, you get the entrepreneurial bug and you're like, oh, we're going to start a business. Didn't really think about all the details of the business. I just literally quit one day and I started, my business. And I remember different moments of the journey of having the business where we struggled really hard, where we made really stupid decisions. And I'm like, oh gosh, it's like, okay, so we got ourselves in trouble over here. We made this mistake. But then when you reflect back at them later on, you're like, oh, I've learned this. And it makes for a nice story. Back in 2015, I'm like, you know what? We're starting to have all these customers in Europe. And we're like, we can't really work with customers in Europe and Asia. if we're here in the US, the time zone difference. So somebody said, yeah, go ahead and fly to Europe and open a small office. And I'm like, really? A small office? Okay. So I literally flew to Paris, flew to London, way too expensive, a lot more than I anticipated. I'm like, okay. And then somebody says, well, go to Istanbul, Turkey. I'm like, Istanbul, Turkey? I haven't been to that place in almost 25, 30 years. I go there, love the place, absolutely fell in love with it. Open an office over there. And I made so many mistakes. First mistake, I opened an office without checking whether people can speak English in Istanbul, Turkey or not. 99% of the people don't speak English. I'm like, okay, well, that was stupid. I hired 15 people in the first 6 months. 6 months later, none of them was with us in the office. Different culture. In the US, we're very transparent. We're very open. You're like, hey, this is going on with the business. This is happening. In Turkey, when you're transparent and you're talking to people about that, they're getting scared. They're like, oh, what's going on with the business? I'm like, it's normal. You go through the ups and downs. I'm trying to share with you. And then I decided, I'm like, you know what? We need to hire people in Denmark. I'm like, okay, we're going to expand. That was another mistake because and not to say anything about the people I hired, absolutely amazing, but the work culture in Denmark is a lot different than the work culture in the US. In the US, you're doing 40, 50 hours a week. That's normal. For them, they're like, what? More than 30 hours? And you only have 2 weeks of time off in a year where we're used to 6 weeks. That difference, again, culture and kind of learning. I was like, okay, I need to learn about people before I hire. And I think for me, by the way, people and hiring people is the biggest struggle in my journey. I think I have a much better process nowadays, but oh my God, in order for me to get to this point, I've made so many mistakes and wasted probably tens of thousands of dollars learning the lessons I've learned.
But you had to make those mistakes to get where you are now. And I'm like, sure, in hindsight, maybe you could have made slightly less mistakes, but it seems like that's a barrier that a lot of people don't talk about, is that there's the before hiring the right people and after hiring the right people, and you see people that are just afraid to start or afraid to make those mistakes versus the people that figure out this hiring thing and build a team. And sure, sometimes things implode or there's a bunch of growth and a bunch of failure, but I mean, in the entrepreneurial journey, like what else is there? And so we want to make sure that we mention and promote FigPii, which is FigPii.com. So if someone is excited about this idea, they say, I want to experiment, I want to A/B test, I want to use this tool so that way it's simple and I don't have all these excuses I make for myself, I want to start using it. Where should they go? What should they do? And how easy is it?
So literally, the one thing that you hear about everybody who tries FigPii, they're like, it is so simple and intuitive. I'm like, yes. That's how we designed it. You can just go to FigPii and sign up. It takes less than a minute to actually sign up and create an account. And I have 3 or 4 guys in customer support who I believe they don't sleep because I'm like constantly, no matter what time you need help, they are available. So they will help you install FigPii really quickly on your website. We have so many different plugins, and you can literally have your first A/B test up within probably 15 to 20 minutes after signing up with FigPii. But let me also add, in addition to the A/B testing piece, I know we've talked a lot about it. FigPii also gives you the ability to see how people are actually clicking around your website. You can actually watch, we call them session replays. Also, it's almost like videos of somebody landing on your site, scrolling down, clicking on something, which is fascinating, correct? We record every interaction that the visitor has. FigPii has, if you've ever thought of about asking your visitors certain questions. Hey, as they're exiting, what is it that's in our site that turned you off? Why aren't you buying? Why aren't you filling out that lead form? And collecting all these answers. So we have on-site polling. There's so many different features that we built. And the idea behind every feature that we added to FigPii is, hey, let us help you improve your site and improve your conversion rates. So I hope that people give it a try.
I hope that they do as well. And you're tapping in this whole conversation, you're tapping into this idea of how important it is to have fun and get excited. And it's not 100% of the equation, but it sure is an important part. And to use it and enjoy it and maybe get some sort of pleasure in the results you see and solving some of these problems and having these aha and seeing the people clicking around and seeing why they left and split testing and seeing some of just those changes to your site and how it improves your conversion rate. So if you out there in podcast land want to tap into some of that fun and excitement for yourself, go to FigPii.com FigPii.com. Go there, sign up, start using it, and you'll have a lot of fun in just a few minutes with that intuitive, easy to use interface. And that way you can be on your way to incrementally improving your business. And by asking yourself the important questions, like how with GoDaddy says, well, what are you testing this month? That way you're not hemming and hawing, guessing. You're actually basing it on some actual results. So FigPii.com is the place to go. And as we wrap up our conversation here, Khalid, I know we kind of got a little introspective a few minutes ago, but just to kind of really wrap it up, do you have a favorite like quote, moral, or lesson, or anything powerful and profound to leave us with? What comes to mind?
So the one thing that I tell every entrepreneur, it's a book actually. So because it's so full of lessons, and I wish I found it, by the way, 15 years ago. It just took me 16 years to find it. And I'm like, really? I should have read this. It's called The Road Less Stupid by Keith Cunningham. And his whole theory, and then he has so many different businesses that are very successful. He's a multimillionaire who lives in Texas. But he says that, my businesses would have been a lot more successful if I didn't really need to make the correct decisions. I just needed to make less stupid decisions. So the book has maybe about 50 chapters. Each chapter is about 2-3 pages. And in it, he will present the concept, and then he will give you lots of questions that you really do some introspection, and you ask yourself those questions, and you'll find many aha moments. So every time a friend tells me that, hey, I'm thinking about starting a business, or they're in the midst of their entrepreneurial journey, I tell them, read this book and thank me later.
I love it. Well, we need to check out that book, The Road Less Stupid, so that way we just do slightly less stupid things to lead us to those better decisions. That comes about by asking those introspective questions. So check out The Road Less Stupid, but also more importantly, check out FigPii, that's FigPii.com, to start A/B testing and experimenting. So we will see you there. And thank you very much, Khalid, for just blowing our minds and really giving us some wonderful information. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed the conversation as well.